How are we doing, everyone? Sam here, United People's TV. Another day. Man, it is warm outside. I love the summer. Isn't life just better if there's sunshine? I know climate warming. Climate warming? Climate warming. My mind's clearly gone blank. How's that for an intro? Let's just restart. How are we doing, everyone? Sam here, United People's TV. It's Tuesday. We're playing Real Betis Thursday morning at 3 a.m. I'll be up. I'll be doing my match reaction. Hopefully we can get a better result than we did against Arsenal. But today we're speaking about something which I genuinely think I'd go as far as to say it could be a perfect summer transfer. Manuel Ugarte to Man United on loan. Climate warming. Global warming. Thank you very much. Mate, that is a classic Samism. If nobody understands what a Samism is, it's something I always used to do when I was working with James and Flav at Ball Street. I just put two things together in my head. What's it called? I can't even read it out down there. Global warming and climate control. Climate warming. I blended two things. Anyway, we're going to speak in detail, but that was a waffle there to begin the show. We're going to speak about Ugarte. We're going to speak about Mazraoui and Wan-Bissaka. That really feels like it's close. We might get Here We Go here live and direct again like we did. Well, we didn't get a Here We Go, but we got the Lenny Yoro bomber from David Ornstein. And I'm going to speak through the poll that I did yesterday on the new stadium. We're going to speak about Toby Collier, Scott McTominay's exit, Christian Eriksen, and there's plenty more. All right? It's why you do things live. It's a bit more fun. Things can go wrong. Klein, good morning to you. Carl, Anuj from the Mod Gang. T, I see you there as well. Josh, you'll be there as always. And who's here from the Member Gang? Steve, we've got Josh. Paul Motter said, I think, Gary, I saw you down there. He's saying that you received your Butcher t-shirt. And he said you loved it. Great quality. Thank you very much, dude. I hope you enjoy it. And I tell you what, anybody who manages to order merch from today onwards, there's an extra special thing that we've added on, just improving the quality. You'll see that if anybody manages to get it. And we've got some new stuff that we are working on. Should I give you a teaser today? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see if we can reach how many likes? I don't know. 500 likes? Ibrahim, gifting 5 memberships. Good morning to you. Someone asking for updates on Yoro injury. There's nothing yet from the club, so there's nothing really being said. There's no point in speculating. No journalist that we trust has said anything either. We've got Debbie on Facebook, and we've got Lastone. We've got Matt. How you doing, man? Good morning to all of you, and good morning to you, Fadzrin, who's just joined there as a member. Right, let's get into the show. As always, please fire in your comments and your questions, and I will try and answer as many as I can possibly throughout the show. It's always busy, but it's the summer, and you have to love the craziness of the summer. The reason people love the summer is because it gives you that renewed hope as a football fan. That's what the summer transfer window is. That's why people look forward to it. It's the idea that maybe if you just make 2 or 3 signings and you get rid of, well, let's be honest, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players from United, then we can be a better club next season. And it's completely true. I think so anyway. I'll name this podcast. You gifted 5 memberships as well. Let's drop a little Casemiro in because it is a very good morning. You could argue it's a goody good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hello. Anyway, hello everyone. Yesterday I did the live show. We had a conversation around the news that broke from the Athletic and the Telegraph that Manchester United, the Old Trafford Regeneration Task Force, I think it's what it's called, have made an initial conclusion that building a new 100,000 seater stadium is what Manchester United want to do. That's the preferred choice. And that's where all the energy and focus is going towards. Which shouldn't really surprise anybody because it's Jim Ratcliffe's choice and he's the owner of the club and he's going to be at least part funding this. But I asked you yesterday, I think we did a poll on the live show. I can't remember if we did a poll on the live show. But I did a community poll yesterday. And can I just say, I love how genuinely engaged this community is. I think there's a lot of people that might try and say they've got communities and they might try and, but it feels like we genuinely really have got one here at United People's TV. And I did this post yesterday asking you, do you want a new stadium or do you want a refurbished Old Trafford? And 37,000 of you voted on that on the community tab. 37,000 votes are in. So in my opinion, that's quite, I think, how big does a poll have to be for a result to be considered something that, it's like a YouGov poll. It's like 10,000 or so, I think. Anyway, 37,000 of you voted on that. And 74% of you have said a new 100,000-seater stadium, which is quite a large majority. I imagine if you were to, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but I imagine if you were to ask 100,000 United fans, maybe from Manchester, and 100,000 United fans who are global, there will probably be different opinions because of the connections that come with being at Old Trafford. And I'm kind of half removed from that as well. I'm a little bit more than half removed. I hardly get to go to games. But I did my video yesterday, and I'm actually going to do a full video with my opinion a little bit further down the line. All right? But 74% of you have said a new 100,000-seater stadium. And wasn't that something? If I don't know, it just kind of triggered in my mind there. Was it the Qatari takeover? That was one of the things that lots of United fans were sort of holding on to and jumping onto. The fact that if there was a Qatari takeover, they would build a new 100,000-seater stadium. I don't know. Frogman saying, will it have standing areas, though? Oh, of course it would. Rail seating has come into quite a few areas in Old Trafford. Came into where my old season ticket was, J Stand, and then came into where the TRA was, the opposite above the tunnel. I think are they putting some in Stretford in now as well? There's a few thousand. Rail seating, in my opinion, is the best way to experience football. Because you can stand for the whole game. You haven't got anybody else having to go behind you. You've also got something to lean on. And if you score and goon happens, you don't end up 7 rows down with your feet in the air. Although that is a little bit fun. It's a bit painful, though. But anyway, 74% of you said that. Stevie saying, if you ask people who have been regularly over 40 years, no one wants a new stadium. That's what I mean. It's if you've built a life of memories and attachments to Old Trafford and with your family and your friends, and there's no way that you would want to see a new stadium. I think a new stadium is the way forward for Manchester United. I do. Although I think it's Man United have to get it right with what happens with Old Trafford. Like, there's no way that I don't think any United fan would accept Old Trafford just getting grounded like Highbury did and getting turned into flats. I would love them to be able to reduce it in size and capacity, which you might say is a waste of money, but I think it'll be pointless having a 76,000-seater stadium for the women's and the academy sides who can't fill 74,000 seats. So it'd be far better to make that into a 20,000-seater stadium that then gets full, and you'd have a lot better acoustics off it. Anyway, let's find out. Let's move on here. This is interesting. Chido Obi Martin, of course, the prolific goal scorer for Arsenal's under-18s last season, 32 goals, which is just ridiculous for the under-18s, I think in 20 appearances. Anyway, he has now left Arsenal. They offered him terms to sign his first professional contract. He said, nah, and he's left. Now, Manchester United have been heavily linked with Obi Martin. I think Borussia Dortmund have also been linked quite a bit as well. And there's no guarantees that he will join, but he visited Carrington last week, and kind of those that I trust in and around Academy News seem pretty confident that he is going to choose Manchester United. And if we do sign him, that would be a very, very good signing at under-18s level. And I think I spoke about this before, but last summer, Manchester United signed Harry Amass from Watford, I think it was. And look at him now. Had a stonking season with under-18s, and he's on the pre-season tour, and lots of us consider him somebody who should be in the first team squad this season. The Fletcher twins, they were signed last summer, and Jack Fletcher's on the pre-season tour. And Obi Martin could well be one of those players. Comes in, plays for the under-18s for a season, and then all of a sudden is around the conversation. But then you've got Ethan Wheatley, who's there as well. And you've got Gabriel Bianchetti. It's going to be interesting. I imagine United would have to pay training compensation for Obi Martin. I think that's what happens when you sign an academy product. Even if it's a free transfer, you have to pay the club who trained that player, which is fair enough, right? But the training compensation is going to be minor compared to the value of what that player could be. Yeah, anyway, so that's a player who could sign. Let's talk about a player who has already signed.
Morning.
There's Joshua Zirkzee. Sleepy. It's sleepy Joshua Zirkzee. He is now at Carrington, and he has started his pre-season training. I think there was a comment there earlier saying, why have you not seen Zirkzee on the pre-season tour? Because of the holiday that he was given post-Euros. Holiday that he was given post-Euros. I think you get 2 or 3. I think it's 2 or 3 weeks. Can't remember what it is. Anyway. Matt, big up to you, dude. Gifted a membership. You and Shay. You're now best buds now. But anyway. Joshua Zirkzee. That's why he's not the pre-season tour. Because he was given his holiday. Rightly so. But Zirkzee is now at Carrington. And as far as we know, Steve McLaren is who is there coaching these players. I think that's what was reported. That Steve McLaren, because I think he might have had some sort of surgery or some sort of injury. But Steve McLaren, I think, is staying at Carrington. So the likes of Zirkzee and probably maybe later this week, I don't really know, Pelistri, Garnacho, Bruno, Dalot, Martinez. All those players who were part of either the Copa America semi-finals or finals or the Euros semi-finals or finals, they're going to be the latest returning. And that's why Joshua Zirkzee, but it's good to see Joshua Zirkzee there. Another little photo of him training there. I can't wait. I'm probably going to do another video on Joshua Zirkzee and sort of how he fits in at Manchester United. Because I think I've said this quite a few times now, but it's definitely the most interesting one. And it might tie into... So every season I try to do what are the tactics looking like this year compared to last year? And I'll be able to do that more accurately after we watch the game against Real Betis and probably the game against Liverpool. I think in the build-up to the game, to the Community Shield game against City, we should be able to get that tactics video out. I think before then, I'd like to do a video on Joshua Zirkzee and where he fits in as well. Jordan, I see you there, gifted a membership. Thank you very much, dude. Well, not me. Not me thanking you. It is. Who's best friend now? You and Danny Tart. And then Shax, you gifted 5 memberships. Lenny. Anyway, there's more photos of Zirkzee if you want them. Let's bring these up. Unfortunately, there's no update so far on Euro or Højlund. I think United are just keeping their cards close to their chest. There you go. Right. There's Zirkzee there. Individual training has already started. Weather's nice. Probably enjoying himself there. That's another... Don't know who that coach is. But Zirkzee. You would presume that the earliest... Well, his debut could well be against Man City. Of course, Man City is on the 10th of August. So we've got a couple of weeks there. Let's find out. And let's dive into all the transfer news, which, of course, is the dominant talking point right now. And the dominant transfer deal to discuss is Mazraoui in and Wan-Bissaka out. Okay, I'll bring you the latest on that. Fabrizio here reporting kind of what we already knew, that Manchester United have already sort of reached personal terms and an agreement with Mazraoui. 5-year contract. He wants to join. Not a problem. The question mark is around Wan-Bissaka. And the question mark has been around Wan-Bissaka. You've got Florian Plettenberg, who's presumably coming from the German point of view, with he's involved in his conversations because of what's going on with Mazraoui. He's saying there's no verbal agreement in place. You've got Sky Sport. Well, you've got West Ham Central here from Claret and Hugh, which is a sort of, as far as I know, it's a West Ham website which has some sort of links into, well, some sort of sources, right? They're saying that the Wan-Bissaka has agreed personal terms. You've got Sky Sports, who are saying advanced talks are happening. This one feels like at some point we're just going to get not a surprise, here we go, but it feels inevitable. Feels inevitable. Ricky gifting 5 memberships down there as well, man. Someone's telling me down there to go and quickly check out the Athletic deal sheet. Let me bring that bad boy up then. I didn't realise there was a new one. The Athletic deal sheet. Just gave it a little intro there for some reason. Come on. Load the website. What is this? 1994. Buffering websites. The Athletic let themselves down. Anyway, let's speak about this first, right? I want to ask you one question around this Wan-Bissaka deal. Because it's definitely a deal which not every United fan thinks is a good move. Some United fans want to keep Wan-Bissaka. I want to ask you this question, right? What was the biggest problem with Manchester United this season? Or what would you say... That's the wrong question. What was the biggest criticism that was given towards Erik ten Hag last season? In terms of Manchester United, in terms of it being 2 years into his tenure. This isn't really a poll question. This is more like I want to know what you think, Days. What was the biggest criticism that was given to Erik ten Hag as Manchester United manager? I'm going to go down there. I'm going to read some of your responses. I'll pull up this deal sheet now because I think the website's loaded. Oh, which is handy. Right. There you go. I'll let you get your comments in down there. I'll bring you what the Athletic have actually said. United completed 2 major deals. They're making moves at right back. United are in talks with Mazraoui. Also been an interest in Dumfries. Any move is continued on Wan-Bissaka's future. Previously turned down a move to West Ham. Situation could be revived. West Ham still need to agree a deal with United. There is no progress on either. Right, well, there you go. So the latest from the Athletic is that a deal hasn't happened here. Right, I'm going to go down here and read some of your comments out. What you think that the biggest criticism that was given towards Erik ten Hag? Thomas, you're saying inconsistency. Robert, you're saying inability. Daz, you're saying going forward. We've got stubborn tactics, didn't rotate. But there's quite a few of you. Stephanie, Ryan, Danny, Chris, you're saying it as well. Lots of you are saying it. And I agree, this was the biggest criticism. The style of play. The lack of a consistent style of play. Right? And this is where I think the conversation around Mazraoui and Wan-Bissaka comes in. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, for all his qualities, which he has plenty, and this isn't me saying he's a bad player, because he's not. Wan-Bissaka, in no way, shape or form, fits inside anybody's mind when it comes to what we had envisaged for this Erik ten Hag team. Going forward, building out from the back, progressive football, inverted fullbacks. None of this applies to Wan-Bissaka's skill set. Wan-Bissaka is a great defender when you're defending, and he's in a one-on-one situation. Mazraoui, if you're talking about the style of play, are you talking about how we sort of see United progressing, becoming better at playing out from the back with the ball, becoming better in possession? Mazraoui ticks a lot of those boxes in ways that Wan-Bissaka unfortunately never could. And it's because of he's just a different defender. And as I said, yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. Just like, that was the biggest criticism, in my opinion, towards Ten Hag. You're watching, like, I'm watching this United team, and what is this style of play? Where is this style of play? There is no consistency. 1 week we're doing this, 1 week we're doing that. And as I've said quite a few times, I think I'm softening on the idea of Christian Eriksen staying, and I'll explain that a little bit later. But there's no way that United are going to let Wan-Bissaka leave for free. And KD is saying Wan-Bissaka is the perfect plan B. Because what do you want Manchester United to be better at this season? Actually having a plan A and getting better at it, or just keeping our contingency plan in case this crappy plan A doesn't work? in an ideal world, you'd be able to do both. I don't think United can because Wan-Bissaka could leave on a free. I don't personally agree with that criticism anymore. This idea of only signing ex-Ajax or Dutch players. Ten Hag is not in control of our transfers anymore. He might love the idea of signing Mazraoui, but it's certainly not his decision. First two seasons, let's be honest, we had nobody in place to make those choices. So any former Ajax player or any Dutch player we get linked with now, I'm not looking at him going, oh, great, Erik ten Hag is just signing players he knows. I'm looking at him going, well, okay, Dan Ashworth, Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada have decided that that player fits this game model that they're building. It just so happens that they are Dutch, or just so happens that they are former Ajax players. Sod Mazraoui getting the best out of Anthony. There's not a reason he's going to be signed, man. There's not a reason he's going to be signed. Delo could play left back. Mazraoui could play right back. They could both switch as well. We're going to be bringing out a video on Mazraoui in probably about Friday or Saturday time. There's a lot of reasons to be positive about the idea of signing Mazraoui and a lot of reasons to be concerned about his injury problems. Although saying that, Wan-Bissaka was injured for a fair amount of last season as well. But yeah, as I said, if you use that logic of, and that's what I'm trying to do, I suppose I'm trying to justify why it would be a good signing. And I think there's reasons to argue for it. I think it's quite easy. But there's also reasons to argue against it. But I would definitely say that the risks outweigh the negatives for Mazraoui. And Wan-Bissaka, I think, would be a great defender at West Ham, by the way. Because West Ham's plan A is Wan-Bissaka's style of play. Sit deep, be really hard to break through, and then blitz on the counter. That was... it's probably going to be different this season because they've got Lopetegui instead of Moyes, so maybe that's going to be different, but they still want Wan-Bissaka. I'm going to go down and read some of your comments on this. Alex is saying, Ten Hag compromised on style when United needed results, like Anfield. Needs to show gumption, stick to the game model this season, sell players who don't fit. It's going to be a loss to Manchester United to not have a player like Wan-Bissaka in certain situations and certain games. But I also think Manchester United should be going into games against Liverpool and City and Arsenal this season with a different mindset. Last season at Anfield, it was contain and pray. Last season at Man City, it was contain. Rashford bangs in that goal in the first half, but we had nothing else going forward. And in the second half, it felt like an inevitability, and the inevitability came. And City beat us because they just broke us down. Man United going forward, we are not going to get back to the top table unless we bring ourselves, we reach a point where we are in these games and actually competing in these games. Not just going in these games like looking through a side eye going, oh, don't get pumped again. Don't get pumped. Just please don't get pumped. Which is pretty much how we've approached all these games. Certainly away from home. Against the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal and City. And Mazraoui is a signing, in my opinion, Mazraoui in and Wan-Bissaka out, is a step towards that. As risky as it is. Yeah, Ravi, it was a compromise. He was playing with what he had at the time. But I think people getting like mega upset about the idea of Wan-Bissaka leaving is a little bit surprising. A little bit surprising. That being said, watch what happens when Mazraoui spends 9 months on the injury table last season, and I'm like, oh, we should never got rid of Wan-Bissaka, which could well happen. But, you know, football. Anyway, let's move on to what I think could be a brilliant deal for United. Of course, we've been linked with Ugarte for a while now. We agreed personal terms with Ugarte 2 weeks ago? 2 and a bit weeks ago. 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. Don't really know. And not much has happened since. Now, PSG, there's kind of sort of daily updates on this. It feels like the PSG Jean Neves is going to be a here we go in the next, I don't know, 2 or 3 days? Probably. And that's directly linked, not to Mazraoui, that's directly linked to Ugarte. Now, I'm going to bring this up from Fabrizio Romano because just have a listen to this. This is Fabrizio on the latest on the Ugarte deal with Manchester United and PSG.
What I'm hearing is that PSG
let me turn that up.
could also be open to a loan with obligation to reach an agreement with Paris Saint-Germain. What I'm hearing is that PSG could also be open to a loan with obligation to buy for Manuel Ugarte, but still an obligation, still a mandatory clause, not a loan with buy option, at least.
Woo. So that's Fabrizio there confirming that PSG could be open to loaning Ugarte to Manchester United this summer with an obligation. So that's not... it's kind of a delayed permanent transfer, if you want to call it that. That's what an obligation is. An obligation is you're obliged to pay X amount of money at the end of the loan period. So effectively, you would sign Ugarte on a loan, on a permanent deal now, but you pay for him next summer. Try before you buy, if you want to call it that, ish. This could really, really suit Manchester United's current financial situation. Next summer, you know, fingers crossed, right? Fingers crossed. This all goes well this season. We win the Europa League. We finish inside the top 4. Brilliant. Our funds will be better next season. There'll be a year's worth of Ineos cost cutting. The operational costs of Manchester United will be down significantly. There'll be, you'll start to get the initial returns on the work that Ineos have been doing. And then next summer, Ugarte will be part of our... Now, that might affect our ability to spend a lot next summer. Maybe. No, Amrabat's loan was an option. It wasn't an obligation. But if United can do this... And by the way, there's precedent for this, right? And there's precedent from PSG. You remember last summer, PSG signed Gonzalo Ramos. And it was actually one of the bigger transfers of the summer. Yet they managed to sign him on an agreed loan with an obligation to buy... for 65 million euros plus 15 mil in add-ons. So PSG signed Gonzalo Ramos on loan last season, and they've actually forked out. And again, when you think about that, that means that this summer PSG have already spent 65 million euros without spending 65 million euros. Might feed into the idea that they need money. And look at this as well. And what deal this would be for Chelsea. Romelu Lukaku and Antonio Conte is like some sort of love affair. Someone needs to write a book on them. Because he loves him. He's trying to sign him again at Napoli. Having signed him at Inter before he went back to Chelsea. And look at that. Napoli are now considering Osimhen joining Chelsea on a season-long loan with a buy option. Napoli have suffered the fate of... It's never easy to do it. And there would have been probably uproar had it happened. But last season, Napoli won their first Scudetto in, I don't know how many years. 40 years? God knows. Was it Maradona I think they last won it with? And Osimhen's value was nuts. Absolutely nuts. It was at the absolute peak of his value. This season, I think he scored 15 goals for Napoli. They had a struggling season. And now all of a sudden, a season on from them saying, no, unless you give us 130, 140 million to sign him, he's not leaving. They're now willing to let him leave on a season-long loan with a buy, not even an obligation, but a buy option to Chelsea. It's like, boy, this is where it's dangerous, man. Like, I know that you have values of players, but Napoli have done themselves dirty here. But anyway, this idea that PSG did sign Gonzalo Ramos on loan. And this idea that Manchester United could well get Ugarte on loan this summer is pretty much perfect. Is he the perfect midfielder? No, I don't think he is. He is a perfect midfielder if you just want a destroyer, absolutely. But that role now in modern football requires more than just that. However, it could well be an extremely balanced midfield. I'm going to go down and read. I think I might miss a couple of super chats here. Let me see. Jordan, you're saying we still need De Ligt. I think we do as well. Well, we still need another centre-back for sure. But yeah, Ugarte on loan, man. I'm going to go read some of your comments out down here. What do you think about the idea of it? Of course, it kind of kicks the can down the road a bit, because United would then have to fork out for Ugarte next summer, when we're going to have even bigger plans next summer. Well, United's financial situation should be in a significantly better position next summer, that we can cope with that. As I said, we should have Champions League money. We should have, I don't know, a better bottom line because our costs are significantly less. I don't know what else. Why not Fofana down there, says Priam. We've been linked with him kind of tentatively, but there haven't really particularly been any major interest from Fofana from United. Not yet. Loan with obligation or option to buy contracts. It is become part of modern football. Whether it's because clubs are very wary that they could do with getting players off their books. It's like United, it may well be that if Sancho leaves, it will be on a loan deal with an obligation to buy. It may well be that happens as well if Sancho does go to PSG. Let me see what you're saying down here. I have no idea what the obligation would be, because technically that deal would be more beneficial to United, so they could probably add a few million on the price of Ugarte, because they're kind of doing us a favour by giving him to us on loan. They'll say, right, okay, you've got two choices. One is you pay, I don't know, you pay 50 million euros for Ugarte and you sign him now on a permanent deal. Or you can sign him for 60 million euros on loan with an obligation. So you can get him for free for this year. I wonder which United would choose out of those two. Get Ugarte signed and go for João Neves the following day. Will the loan deal mean we pay more, says Mirko? That's what I mean. If I was PSG and I was giving United that option of a loan deal, I would charge more. Makes sense, right? As I said, you're doing something that favours United in the loan deal. Well, you may as well favour us then by paying us an extra 5-10 mil overall. Let me see what else he's saying down there. I mean, Sancho can leave now. We can get De Ligt and Lindelof, no, Maguire's not going anywhere. Anyway, I really hope that Man United managed to do that. Signing Ugarte on loan would be top-tier business, in my opinion. It's not to say that our finances are going to be perfect next summer, but it gives Manchester United a lot more leeway this summer to make the signings that I think we need. I think we probably need more signings than our budget is going to allow us. So therefore, if you can go and find someone like Ugarte, who might be probably would be your biggest central midfield signing, and you get him on loan, you free up other options. Maybe you free up money that you can get Amrabat back in if you want him. Or you can bring in another central midfielder if you want him. Or it frees up money to sign that number 9 that you want. I don't know. Find out. Halftime, you're saying, surely you pay less as the overall fee because you're paying a loan fee for the first year. Well, the loan fee would be as part of it, no doubt, but it might mean that the overall package, say you pay a 10 million loan fee. It doesn't mean, say two examples. You've got 50 million up front now, or 10 million as a loan fee, and then 45 million as an obligation. So there's an extra 5 mil on top. I would put a sweetener on it if I was PSG anyway. Depends on negotiation. But I hope that happens. I really hope that happens. Would PSG charge a loan fee now and then agree a transfer fee and add-ons for obligation? We'll find out. It feels like United are properly negotiating, though. Not just giving them what they want, not just getting stuck into... They're trying to find other ways of doing deals, and this makes a lot of sense. If Sancho leaves, do we need a replacement? I don't think so. Would you have Rashford and Garnacho on the left? You'd have Ahmad, technically Anthony on the right. You wouldn't be flush, but I think there'll be other parts in the squad that would have less depth than you would, because Garnacho can play on the right-hand side. Rashford, just keep him on the left. He's a left winger only. That's the only position I ever want to see him play. But Garnacho can play on the right. Ahmad can play on the right. I think there'll be enough. Anyway, let's move on to the next point. And we move on to speaking about sales. Again, there's nothing on Casemiro. Kind of the longer this goes on, honestly, the more it feels like Casemiro is going to be a United player next season. And if that happens, I've just got to hope that Casemiro somehow proves us all wrong. And I really would hope that would be the case. But let's speak about Scott McTominay here first, because you've got Sky Sports reporting that Fulham are expected to go back in for Scott McTominay now that they've got a deal for Emil Smith-Rowe agreed. Now, we know full well, if you go back to the leaving board, I think I've left it up there, McTominay. We've already rejected a bid from Fulham. I think it was around about 17 million at the start of the summer. And look, I'm sorry. If Fulham are out there buying Emil Smith-Rowe for 34 million, I don't actually know what his contract situation was. But United, we've got 2 years left with McTominay. We've got one and we've got the option to extend. So it's 2 years. And we got a 30 million bid from West Ham last summer for McTominay. And he's improved. He scored 10 Premier League goals last season. And he was Scotland's main man and got them to the Euros. Now, McTominay's stock has gone up since we rejected a £30 million bid. And his age is fine. I would expect Manchester United to be asking for the same sort of price for McTominay that Fulham have just paid Arsenal, or going to pay Arsenal, for Emil Smith-Rowe. And according to Sky Sports, they're going to come back in for him. Now, I've already said this before, right? There's a lot of midfielders I would get rid of ahead of McTominay. I would get rid of Casemiro, Eriksen, and Hannibal, all before I would sell Scott McTominay. However, there's the thing. Scott McTominay, out of all four of those players, is the most sellable player. He's the player with the best and biggest value. And remember that if... And again, this is where football blends into business, and you just can't help it, but it's just the way that the modern game has gone. If we sell McTominay, it goes down as pure profit against our PSR. So selling McTominay might be the most valuable sale that we can make this summer. Even more so than Greenwood because of the price. And United, unfortunately, are going to be thinking about that. And I've already said this, right? Scott McTominay last season, he had value for Manchester United. He had strengths for Manchester United. But if you tell me, McTominay's greatest strength was arriving on the edge of the box. I want somebody else to be doing that for Manchester United now, and his name's Joshua Zirkzee. That's the player that I want to be crashing into the box. That's the player that I want to be arriving on the edge of the box, not Scott McTominay. So I think from a goal threat perspective, I think we've already replaced Scott McTominay inside this squad with the signing of Joshua Zirkzee, because he is not going to operate as a number 9. He's going to drift in and around the box, in between the midfield and the attack. That's where Zirkzee is going to be at his best, which is actually where McTominay was at his best last season. But I don't think we need Scott McTominay there this season. Sure, we need to replace his goals, but I think we can. Therefore, McTominay, in my opinion, can be sold. Of course, there's certain factors about McTominay which are kind of intangible. You know, genuinely, he is a grafter. He is an academy product. He comes through. He knows what it means to play for United. And he came clutch last season so often. But in terms of the sellable assets, I hate calling them assets, sellable player, Scott McTominay has real value for Manchester United this season. It just depends on the price. 17 million, Fulham are never going to get him for that. 34 million, maybe I'm being overzealous. But in my opinion, last season, if we rejected 30 mil, McTominay is now a better player. How can that possibly go down? And Fulham, I don't even know. In this, you know the thing that I find funny? How bad do Fulham scouts have to be identifying Scott McTominay as a potential replacement for João Palhinha? Like, lads, do you not get the memo? Did you not... Well, fine, pay if you want to pay enough money for it, you can decide that yourself. But it kind of sounds like they want him to replace Palhinha and be that player who sort of screens his defence and brings the ball forward. That's not even in any way, shape or form a Scott McTominay position inside that squad. Jordan, he's 20 million. He's not worth more than that. We quite literally, as a club, last summer rejected 30 million. And he is now a better player. So you're just wrong on that. He's worth more than 30 mil. Whether United get that or not, don't know. And again, this might be a situation where, and I know it's not our problem if they misprofile him. It's just a bit weird. It's just a bit weird. Anyway, there's no point doing a poll on McTominay. We can skip on to the next conversation point. And we're going to speak about Christian Eriksen. Now, I've spoken about Christian Eriksen quite a lot. And I've gone, again, I go back to the leaving whiteboard here. Look, Eriksen's down there. Hannibal's there. Casemiro's there. McTominay's there. In my opinion, all four of them could leave. Would that leave United thin in midfield? Yeah, of course it would. But we've got, well, someone like Ugarte coming in. We've got Collier coming through, who easily replaces... Well, who would I replace him for in there? Eriksen, I suppose. But of all those players, I kind of feel that Eriksen is... What? I don't know. I think it will be a bigger priority to sell Hannibal. I think it will be a bigger priority to sell Casemiro. And if Eriksen stayed for one more year, I don't think I'd be massively offended by it. And I don't think it would massively block anything that happened inside the squad. But in an ideal situation, how much do you genuinely think, if United were able to sell Eriksen this summer, how much do you reckon we could get? Put it in the comments. I don't think it'll be that much. I mean, first of all, how old is he? 33? 32. This is what he said, by the way, about his career, about his future. He goes, I want to play as long as possible. I would say, yes, continuing at elite level, but in 3 years, maybe my mindset will be different. There is a time and place for less game time. I'm not getting any younger, but it doesn't feel like I'm not getting any younger. Mentally, I'm still the same, but the body-wise, yeah, you know full well. Same as Ronaldo. Didn't feel like he was getting any older, but he absolutely was. Let me see what you're saying down here. Robert, you're saying 5 mil. John, 5 to 10. Chris, you're saying 12. Akash saying 10. Oleo saying 10. Peter, Steve, Finn, Lone Wolf, you're all saying 10. I'll be honest, man. I think it'll be like 5 mil. I think it'll be 5 mil for Eriksen. I could see Eriksen staying and being a positive influence, and there might be certain games and situations where Eriksen could come on and that sort of experience might help us. I don't think I would say the same thing about Hannibal. And I think Manchester United could and should be selling Casemiro and upgrading on him. But if Eriksen stayed... Look, if Eriksen stayed, Hannibal stays, and Casemiro stays, I'm going to be pissed. I think that's way too many passengers for our midfield next season. And by the way, Andy Carroll, you're an absolute whopper of a man. Because Eriksen, pre that Andy Carroll injury, man, was so ridiculously impactful for United. Like, insanely so. And he just got a baby elephant who fell on his leg, bent it the wrong way, and he's never really been the same player since. And the game's increased in pace since then as well. Eriksen wants to stay. I think in the grand scheme of the priorities, I think Casemiro will be ahead of him. I think Hannibal will be ahead of him. We'll see. Eriksen could play in Evans' role in midfield. I mean, I wouldn't say that because Evans played bloody 30 games last season. It's the last thing I want to see from Christian Eriksen this season. But if he was to stay and was to maybe play a cup game here or there or come on for the last 15 in case we need to see games out, I could see that being all right. Don't know. But he wants to stay. It just depends whether he will. I don't know whether he will or not. But move on to another midfielder, and this is what I mean. There is so much change in this squad this year. There really is. You've got Varane and Cambuala have left as two centre-backs. I think you'll be seeing Lindelof leaving as well as a centre-back. Wan-Bissaka's likely going, and Mazraoui is coming in as a fullback change, and you're probably going to see Harry and Mas promoted to the squad at left back. I think that's the main changes defensively. In midfield, has there been any change so far? Who's left? Van der Beek's gone. I mean, he didn't play last season, so that doesn't really count. Fernandes didn't play for us, so that doesn't really count. Greenwood, he wasn't here, so that doesn't really count. Not much in terms of change in midfield, but Toby Collier is, in my opinion, he's been the most impressive player so far this preseason. I think the consistency that he's shown in the 3 performances, very similar role, very similar level of performance. And he was also captain when he came on in the second half against Rangers. There's an article here from Sam Pilger, sort of, this is comments from, what's his name? Mark Beard, who is Brighton's under-18s coach. Because Man United signed Toby Collier from Brighton. And this is what he said about him, right? He said he is a pleasure to coach. So low maintenance. What I mean is you don't know he is there. He gets on with his job. Regularly puts in displays of 8 out of 10. Had the best running stats. Breaks things up. You want 11 of these players in the team. You know what you're going to get in training. He works hard. He wants to improve. And he's intelligent. He's a good all-round kid. And as defensive midfielders go, it's quite a disciplined role. He is probably the best in the country at doing it. He said that when he was 18. And Erik Ten Hag, this is what the report is saying about Ten Hag and Collier. He likes his ability to keep possession in midfield, look after the ball in tight positions, even when being put under serious pressure, remaining calm and composed, finding teammates. Collier's positioning, discipline, movement, and ability to disrupt opponents has also won him praise from the coaches. And United believe... I don't know whether I'd go as far as to say that Collier feels like a rare talent. I think Kobbie Mainoo's a rare talent. I think Alejandro Garnacho is a rare talent. But Collier, and this is so important when it comes to an academy player coming through, is pathways. I think I've said this to you quite a few times as well, right? Pathway is just as important for a youngster at Manchester United as talent is. You could have the most talent in the world, but if your front 3 is Ronaldo, Rooney, and Tevez, you're never going to get an opportunity. Gerard Piqué. Perfect example is Gerard Piqué. He was a great defender at United. Really was ready, but who was he trying to get in front? Oh, Vidic and Ferdinand. Yeah, good luck with that. Gerard Piqué had to leave in order to get opportunities. No pathway. Toby Collier's got a perfect pathway. Right now, do we have a defensive midfielder? I don't even think we do. Casemiro, technically, is a defensive midfielder, but I think I've checked out of Casemiro. I'd love to be proven wrong on him, but I don't think I will be. Toby Collier, to win in football, you need your elite players. You need your game winners, but you also need quality in the squad. I think I like that comparison there of Nicky Butt. Nicky Butt was never, ever anywhere near the top of the class of 92, but Nicky Butt, man, was just a great player. And that's what struck. Maybe I'm being unfair on Toby Collier. Maybe there's far more than I'm suggesting that there is. But the pathway there is really clear for Collier. And that's what I mean about... If you want to talk about... Go back to Scott McTominay. What about the goal threat if he leaves? We've just signed Joshua Zirkzee. We can replace McTominay's goal threat, in my opinion, with Joshua Zirkzee and him crashing the box. What about his physicality in midfield? And then I'd probably point towards Toby Collier coming through and say, well, in that sense, you could probably replace the physicality that McTominay would bring in midfield when you bring in Toby Collier. And that's why I'm saying that I think McTominay, if the right price is there, I think we'll be able to replace him. And people are probably going to use Darren Fletcher as a comparison as well. I don't know. But the pathway really is there. And I think Ten Hag has only attended, correct me if I'm wrong here, might be making this one up. I think he's only attended the contract signings of a few academy players. And I think 3 of them were Mainoo, Garnacho, and Collier. And it strikes me that where United's squad is and where the strengths are and where the weaknesses are, there is a position right there for Collier. And look, Maxi Oyedele, I think, has impressed so far. I think It's probably why both of them are there, because United coaches and Ten Hag is thinking there's going to be a spot there for one of these academy lads to come through into the squad next season. Who's it going to be? So far, I would say it's Collier. And it's exciting, man. Every year there'll be an academy graduate coming through. And do you know how good that is? That really is just like impressive. If we have Garnacho 2 years ago, Mainu last year, and Collier this year. Sam Murray's decent as well. Harry and Mass could come through. You've got Ethan Wheatley, who broke in last season. You've got Jack Fletcher, who's probably not quite ready yet, but definitely one to watch out for. A very different sort of player, kind of a playmaker. Really nice to watch him with the ball at his feet. I imagine that Oyedele is going to be going out on loan. I think that's probably right. But last couple of minutes of the show, please fire any questions. Things that I would expect to happen this week. I expect there to be movement with these. I think that could come at any point. Mazraoui to United. It feels like we're just waiting on the Wan-Bissaka deal to go through. And if Wan-Bissaka is agreeing terms with West Ham, that'll be a good one. Oh, I'll tell you what, I will show you, actually. I'm definitely going to show you. I'm really excited about this. Oh, look, Tyron Madison, he's there as well in training. Well, at Carrington. Individual training. Let me show you this, right? We've come up with an idea for a poster series to launch on United People's TV, right? I've already mentioned posters before. And we came up, we wanted this idea. I explained this to you, right? And I'll read your questions out. Our idea was we wanted a way of showing big moments in a really unique fashion. And we brainstormed. Big up Ronnie. And big up Artie, by the way, the artist, for this. And we came up with an idea. And our idea was to turn big United moments into comic strips. And I want to show you the first one here. Now, this isn't going to be released for a while yet. We're still working on the ins and outs of it. But this is the design that we came up with for the first one. And as you can see, it is the Garnacho one. And I absolutely, of course yes, I know I'm biased, right? Of course I'm biased. But it's just, I've never seen this done before. It's completely new. Maybe not completely new, but it feels very unique way for us here on United People's TV to be able to show huge moments like that as a cool present in sort of a poster range. And we'll be able to do this across the course of the season. So if there's any big moments, maybe like Ahmad from last year in Liverpool, we could do one for. We're working on a different one. But it's all completely designed by us, brand new. And I think it looks cool. I think the kids will really, really like it. Because there's different sorts of things. There'll be merch that's kind of cooler that maybe an older person or a teenager might like, but there might be someone here, like a present from the kids. That's the way we're looking at it. And this is the first example of it, and it's so cool. I think so anyway. And we're going to be doing more of them. I didn't forget to show you it. It's just that this hasn't been released anywhere yet. This is still something that we are working on in the background. And yeah, it reminds me of reading comics when I was a kid. Beano was my one. There are loads that we can do for this. Honestly, you would not run out of ideas. It's about choosing the best ones. But yeah, at some point in the not too distant future, we're going to be releasing these as posters. You can get them. It's like this because I think posters are quite a big part of United People's TV because of all the Stan Chow I've got. Right. It may well go on t-shirts, but it'll be like a back design. It would look a bit stupid if you put it on the front. We're all working on it. I'll let you know the prices and I'll let you know when they're going to be released. But yeah, that's something I'm working on. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Desperate Dan, liked him. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. I'll be here at lunchtime today. Not sure what my lunchtime video is going to be on today. I might go into it a little bit more depth on the Ugarte loan deal. We'll find out. But thank you all for tuning in. Please do drop a like on the video. I'll be back here tomorrow. Look, we hit 500 likes. I didn't realise that, but that's why that came up. Big up to all of you, and I will see you tomorrow morning.